Okay. Well, again, thanks for joining us this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stephen Avery, the Faculty Director of the Medical Physics Graduate Programs.
Thank you, Andrea. So thank you for attending our information session. Hopefully you will get most of your questions answered about our program, and hopefully you will be a future student. So first I want to introduce our panel. My name is Stephen Avery. I'm the Program Director. We have Tehran Lee, who is our Associate Director, and two of our alumni, Peyton and PJ. Raise your hand. So for our information session, first I'm gonna give an overview of the program, some information about the program, some history, some updates. We've been on a 2-year hiatus, and we have just rebooted the program now. And so we have our first cohort of our new transition to the School of Medicine. And then Tehran will give a virtual tour of the department. And then we'll hear from our alumni about the student experience, and then we'll open it up for questions. Okay, any questions? If not, let's start. So I will start with the presentation. And hopefully everyone can see the screen. I can't see hands, so if you can raise your hand, and Andrew will let me know if there's any issues with not seeing the screen. Okay. Everyone's good?
Great.
All right. Okay, so our program has been in existence since 2000. So we've been actually training medical physicists for almost 2 decades now. We started originally in the School of Arts and Sciences. We were in the physics department. And then we moved to the College of Professional Studies. There we moved because we wanted to accredit the program and give it more structure from the physics department. Once we established the program so that we could get CAMPIP accredited, we had our program was reviewed and we received accreditation in 2011. And then every 5 years, the program is accredited again. So we were reaccredited again in 2015. And now we are transitioning into the School of Medicine from Arts and Sciences. The reason for that transition was because it's more aligned with where the program was going. As we were growing, we wanted to be more connected with the School of Medicine. So this is actually a big improvement in the program. And so now we will be applying for accreditation again in 2020. So one question that I still hear, even though it's 2019, is what is medical physics? Because a lot of people are not familiar with medical physics. A lot of people are still unsure exactly, are you like biophysics? Are you like health physics? Actually, we're many different things. We are the bridge between physics and medicine. But for our field in medical physics, we are actually similar to what the, So in our field, you actually have to go through an accreditation process, similar to what the physicians go through. So this is the first step into that process, that you have to have a degree from a CAMPIP program, either a master's or a PhD. And then there's a residency, then there's a board exam, and then you become a qualified medical physicist. But also, if you are not interested in the clinical track, some people do go either industry track, or you may want to go to a business track, or just a straight research track. But the majority of people who are coming to the program want to do the clinical track and become board certified. And it doesn't mean you can't do other tracks, but it does give you more options as far as job opportunities. And so some of the subspecialties in medical physics include radiation oncology or therapy. Probably more than 90% of the students go into this track. But there's also diagnostic imaging, there's nuclear medicine, there's also health physics, and there's an industry track. And I mentioned that some students also may look at the business track too, where if you are interested in being an entrepreneur, that's opportunities that people are interested in, or even working for the government. That's some track that students may be interested in also, but the majority do go into the therapy track. So looking at the success of the program, this was from 2014 to 2018. We've had 91% of our students actually matched into for a residency position versus the national average, which is the yellow line here, which is around 50%. So preparing our students, we do a very good job of preparing our students for residency, and residency programs are very attractive to the students that come out of the Penn program. For a certificate program, now the certificate program is for people who have a PhD who want a pathway into medical physics. And for the certificate program, we also have a very high acceptance placement rate of 79% versus, again, the national average, which is about 45%. And so you can see and this is just one small snapshot of our alumni, but our alumni are all across the country. And not only our alumni, but our faculty also. We've had staff and faculty that have gone to other places. We have one of our faculty members is now the director of the Proton Center in the Netherlands. So we have Penn faculty, or the Penn network is really a global network. And so being part of the Penn family really gives you opportunities across the globe. Students also interested in going in the PhD route. So this is again just a snapshot of some students after they finish the master's program, what they have done after and going into a PhD program. So from the University of Chicago to Penn to Georgia Tech to Berkeley, you can see the opportunities are really endless as far as where you want to take your career in medical physics. So the objectives of our program is to equip the students so that you have the tools to be a successful medical physicist, provide you with the necessary curriculum and training so that you can become a board certified physicist, and also prepare you for the test in order to become board certified. Part one, the board certification is in 3 parts. After our students leave the program, most of them take part one, and I would say the majority of them pass part one. Our curriculum is 15 CUs in order to graduate. 1 CU is equal to 3 credit hours. So we have in the first year, students take anatomy, imaging, radiation physics, and also radiation protection. So really the first year is, you say, like the core courses, things that you really need to be able to prepare for your clinic, prepare for research, and also prepare for part one of the ABR exam. In year 2, students, this is now a thesis requirement that we have. So students do research in their second year. And they also take advanced imaging, computational medical physics, and there's a dedicated lab course. In the summer, the majority of students take clinical practicum, but some may elect to do an additional practicum for an elective. And this is really one of the strengths of the course, is the amount of clinical training that you receive. Not only did you receive structured training through a medical physics lab, but you get real on-the-job clinical practicum training too. And this makes it attractive for residency programs because they see our students leaving the program and being able to give a contribution to the clinic day one, wherever the residency position may be. For the certificate program, these are the core courses, again, pretty much from the first year of the master's program, but these are the courses that are required by CAMPEP in order to be eligible for the residency position. So this is the courses that the specific program is just a one-year program, but also for our certificate students, we involve them in a clinic too, because we see it as a disadvantage to just take classes. So when they apply to residency positions, then they're going up against people who are either in a PhD program or a master's program who've had the full course load, the full clinical experience. So for our certificate students also, they are put into the clinic, and so that when they apply for residency positions, they are familiar with what the position, what the requirements of the position, and also that people feel comfortable with having our certificate students in the clinic without any mistakes, possible mistakes happening. So although we're officially a thesis program, even before when we were a professional master's program, we still had a lot of research activities. We had a capstone requirement before, now there's a thesis requirement. And you can see we were very productive even before we have upgraded the course. We had over 60 presentation and conferences, 17 plus publications, 15 awards. This is just a little snapshot of some of the titles of capstone projects that we had from 2018. And the other part I think is really unique to our program is the preparation that you receive for a career and also the clinical experience. We have, I mentioned the amount of clinic that you receive through your clinical practicum, but also students participate in the quality assurance in our proton and our photon clinic. So this is a paid position, but also you're receiving also work experience. And so this is real work experience that you can put on the CV. And so that it's not just shadowing or not just looking at someone else doing it. Our students are actually participating in the QA. We have a career mentorship because it's not enough just to go to class and to do QA, but you also have to be prepared for how do I get ready for the next step. So these, you can think of these as things that you don't learn in the classroom. And also part of our professional development, where we have talks from people in the field that talk about, okay, I'm a diagnostic physicist, I work in nuclear medicine, or I work maybe have my own business or work for the government, to give students an idea of what are the career opportunities, what are the different paths that I may want to take. Because many students that come to medical physics, again, may not have heard of it or may not be familiar with it and may not know the opportunities that are available to them once they have a degree in medical physics. So our professional development, and I've mentioned some of these things already, but again, it's an overview of different topics, and these topics do change based on how the field changes. So now medical informatics is something that's really interesting in the field, and a lot of people are also looking at, let's say, AI, artificial intelligence. Another topic that seems to be gaining some momentum is what's called flash therapy. So that's probably something that we may add, in the future. But this is a living course where it definitely changes based on the how the field changes. Although we do have core topics such as the physicist perspective, as I said, nuclear medicine, diagnostic medical physics, those things will always be there. But as different specialties come in, we will keep the students up to date on other opportunities that are available to them, or available to them as far as maybe career choices or research choices. The different competencies that we want the students to make sure they are strong in, such as when they are preparing for their residency interviews, or we want to make sure that they have a good personal statement, abstract writing, leadership skills, interview skills, networking skills. All these things are important. Again, it's not just enough to be a really smart student. You have to know how to market yourself as a student too, how to present yourself so that people can see that not only that you will do well, that you know how to do the work, but that how you work within a team, how you work within the clinic, and how would you fit in our department. And so we look at the whole student, not just looking at just the academic part of it. The clinical training opportunities is the reason why it's a strength, because we have many satellites. So here we have our main center, the Perlman Center of Advanced Medicine. But you can see that we have satellites from Lancaster, Valley Forge, Radnor, and outside of our Penn network too, we also partner with other clinics too. 21st Century Oncology is a private clinic which is headquarters is in Fort Myers and Naples in Florida. So students have an opportunity to go there and do clinical practicum. This is actually paid for the travel and the housing by 21st Century Oncology. And they spend a summer there, again, getting some clinical experience. Other health systems in the area is Cooper Health, they partner with MD Anderson, and so they also have students allow our students to come to their clinic to do clinical practicum. The VA Medical Center is close by. The Penn Center for Advanced Medicine, and we're working on other affiliation agreements. And so again, this gives the student opportunities that to see different equipment, different type of procedures, different types of modalities. Although Penn has probably every modality that exists, but there are some that we don't have yet, and we want to make sure that the student has a chance to experience, something that we can't offer at this time. For example, Cooper has what's called an MR-Linac, which is a new type of instrument that's used to actually image and deliver treatment. So right now, it's not something that's in Penn's network, but we can offer it to students by our partnership with Cooper. So that way, when a student leaves our program, they can say that they are at least familiar or have a little understanding of pretty much every type of instrumentation or modality that exists in radiation oncology now, either through the Penn network or with our partnerships with other health services. So the requirements for the master's program is that we want you to have a bachelor's degree with in physics preferably, but at least a minor in physics. We also would like you to have your GRE. As far as what score you should have, we usually look at least in the 80th percentile. But that's been the score of most of the students that we have accepted into the program. That doesn't mean that's a hard cutoff, because we look at the total application. So we want to make sure that the student is actually involved in other things, like have you done a summer RAU program? What is your dedication coming into the field? Why do you choose medical physics? So these are things that can be addressed in your essay. Your letters of recommendation is something else that we want students to think about, like someone to really say something about you and why you would be a good fit for medical physics, or what is it that is about you that is someone that we want to train to be a medical physicist. Also, we have for students who do not have English as their first language, we do require the TOEFL score. And the TOEFL score is at least, I believe, 100 as far as the score that we require for admissions. But the details are on our website, and actually, if there's any more information, Andrew, our administrative director, can actually give you some more details on that. For our certificate program, so you have to have a PhD in physics or related field in physics. That's a requirement in order to be able to be admitted into the certificate program. You don't need a GRE, that's not a requirement, but we do need transcripts and letter of recommendation and your essay. For people who are Penn students or here at Penn, there is the option to submatriculate. I'm not sure if anyone on our call is at Penn, but if you are here at Penn, either as a PhD or as an undergrad, you can submatriculate into our program also. So our admission schedule, our application are now open. So we have our application deadline is January 15th. We will review applications late January and in February. We will do virtual interviews where we will, such as Skype or Zoom. And then for the students that are admitted, we have a visit day, and then we have our decision by April 15th. So this is a look at the admission stats for our master's program. This year was the highest yield that we've had versus different cohorts in the past. So we had 33 applications. We admitted 25. Of those 25, we matriculated 12. In the past, our admission rate are about the same. We usually admit about in the low 20s. But for this year, we matriculated more than we have in the past. For our certificate students, it's about the same. We usually yield about between three to four certificate students. And so our yield, again, is about 75%, which is an average of what we've had in the past. So our total enrollment is that we have 12 master students, 3 certificate students. 11 of those students are full-time. We have 1 part-time, and for our certificate program, we have 2 part-time and 1 full-time. So again, you can go part-time if that's a requirement that you have, because we do have some students that work while they go to school, and so they need to go for the part-time enrollment. Looking at the makeup of our class, 73% male, 27% female. We have 29% of our first generation college students. And we have a representation from people all over the globe. And this is probably one of the most diverse classes that we have had in the past, which is very promising for us, because I think it shows that we actually our reach is expanding. And so we hope that we continue to have this diversity throughout the program. So with that, I think that we also have many social activities in the program. This is on the top left. This is just a lunch that we've had with our physics division. On the bottom left, we had a cross-cultural communication workshop, because since we do have a very diverse class, and also, you know, local health is global health, and we have people from all over the world, not only that we treat, but that also that work here. So we want to make sure that everyone understands how to communicate with each other, because in the hospital, there's really no room for error, and even the smallest thing may cause an error that can harm a patient or just be a misunderstanding. So that's one thing that we definitely are conscious of, and we want the students to understand that, you know, there are different ways of being able to explain something to different people. On the right side is a picture of a happy hour that we had with the physics division, but we continue to have some social activities. We have a Christmas party that's coming up, so we're not all work, we all play too, and so we do try to have some social activities. Here is our new student room. We just had a lunch with the students where we sat and we just discussed about, you know, how are things going, about some changes that are coming into the program, and some activities that we're planning down the line. This room is something that was a big effort, mainly on our administrative director's part. So you can thank Andrea for this, but this is something that is for the students. It's in our department. They have their own space. They have their own computers. There's a little kitchenette, a printer, lockers, a whiteboard so they can do any homework. But this is, again, dedicated space for our students. And another thing that we've added too is that students will actually have some representation in the governance of the program, that we're building a student advisory board, and students will actually sit in the steering committee meeting, so they have a voice for the program, and they can actually say, have input on how things change, and any decisions that we want to make as far as the future of the program. Here's just a snapshot of our tuition for fall 2019 and spring 2020. I'm not going to go through the numbers. I think you can see the numbers there, but we can discuss this if people have questions. But if we compare our tuition versus our competitors, which would be Duke and Columbia, per CU, Penn is the best bargain for your dollar. So we're about, at least a few $100s less than our competitor per CU for the 2019-2020 year. Financial aid, so the master's programs are all self-supported. That there are no full scholarships like a PhD program, but we do understand that it still could be financially difficult for some students. So we do offer some opportunities to offset the cost. We offer opportunities to work in the lab to do QA, which pays $20 an hour. There's opportunities across the university to be a TA or to be a graduate associate or to be a research associate. There's also opportunities if someone has grant funding or research funding that students may have a chance to work on a project with a faculty member. and we're always looking for different opportunities for our students, as well as trying to give them some other advantages too. Like, for example, we pay for the membership to AAPM, which is the American Association of Physicians in Medicine. That's our main association. We also try to give them travel support to go to the meeting. So even though it may not be a direct pay that we give the students, we try to offset some cost so that they still have opportunities to participate in some of our professional conferences. And so, and all of this is so that they can, be prepared for a residency position, and also be prepared when they apply, and be able to, again, network and put themselves and put themselves out there, so that different residency programs are aware of our students. So if you have any questions, this is our general email address and our phone number. And with that, I will turn it over to Tehran to give an overview of our virtual tour. But I guess before he starts, are there any questions, any general questions about what we just discussed here? If not, we have some time at the end, but I just want to make sure if someone had a question in mind that they want to get off their mind before they forget. If not, then okay, we will continue. I think you're muted, Tehran.
I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, here we go. Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, everybody, for joining our virtual information session. And my goal here is, first of all, my role is, I'm the Associate Director of the program, working with Stephen and Andrea. And then my sort of session here is to give you an overview of the location, the area, and also some of the key highlights that our program has in terms of equipment and new technologies. So I'm going to start here, like pointing out where we actually are relative to the Philadelphia region. So there's just the airport, if you can see on my screen, and then following the airport, we're only about 15 to 20 minutes ride from the airport to the actual campus. And then if we can move it to the University City area, where, should be here. So this is downtown Philadelphia, if you can see on my screen right now. This is where all the high rises are, but we're across the river from the downtown Philadelphia. It's probably 5-6 miles from that. And then here was the Penn campus. So our program is actually in this building, which is called, give me 1 second here, Permanent Center for Advanced Medicine. So the building is built, I think, in 2006 to 2007, when we received a big donation that we built the Proton Center along with it. You can see that it's, even though the lobby of the building is actually looks small, but the entire building behind it is the sort of the treatment, the clinic area for a lot of the cancer care patients. And right next to this building is the Smilo Center for, I think you can actually read on it, Penn Medicine Smilo Research Center. So there's a lot of dedicated research lab space that going on in that building. Actually, our Department of Radiation Oncology has a dedicated floor in that research building where a lot of the research associate and technologists and faculty work in that space. So we're unique in that we do have the most advanced treatment technique, but also at the same time, we have a lot of research activity going on. We have among the top 5 or top 3 NIH-funded cancer research program in the country. And I also want to point out is that this construction you'll see right here, because of the image, this image is taken probably several months ago, but now there's already a building where at this site where the current is showing the construction site. That's the new hospital building. And the new hospital is going to be open in 2021. And this is the short sort of view about what the hospital looks like. It's right next to between the Penn Museum, which is a very famous anthropological museum. And then the next one, right next to it is the Perman Center for Advanced Medicine. And then you can see this train station right here and provided direct access to the new hospital. It will be a state-of-the-art hospital. We have probably over 500 beds moved to that hospital, and also a lot of operating rooms and private patient rooms. So inside this building, there is we have 5 proton treatment room and an additional dedicated research room, and we have 5 photon treatment rooms. And in the terms of the size, we are probably the largest proton center in the US, if not in the world, in terms of patient load. And on average, we treat about 100 patients on the proton side and about 120 to 140 patients on the photon side. So combined, we treat about 250 to 260 patients in a day in our department. This is a virtual reality tour narrated by our department chair, Dr. Jim Metz. Go back. So I want to show you some quick overview of the new technologies that we have. You won't be able to hear the narrative content from him, but I'll sort of narrate for you. So if you go to, this is where the lobby of the Perman Center, which our program will be taking classes and then do our clinical practicum in this building. So it's a very nice, very open space lobby, and all of our faculty, majority of our faculty and staff are on the 2nd floor and the 4th floor of this particular building. And if you turn around and look at here, I don't know if you can see that is actually the model of our proton treatment center, proton treatment gantry. So the department and then the university and school do take great pride in the fact that we have the largest proton treatment center in the world. So this shows one of the treatment rooms when the patient is getting what they call simulation CT scans. Basically, we're trying to map out the patient anatomy using the CT scanners prior to the patients getting treated in our department. You can see that the patient is immobilized in a mask, and we do have a state-of-the-art CT scanners. 2 of them has dual energy capabilities that are designed to reduce the certainty of dosimetry that our patient received during proton therapy. So we do also have MR simulators and PET-CT simulators in-house, which is a very rare for a department, for a radiation oncology department to have all of those advanced imaging technology within the department access and not sharing with other outside resources, which also means additional research time and research availability for anybody that's interested in imaging research. So moving on to the next one, this is actually our highlight. This is the proton therapy unit. You can see that the gantry is very large because we have to transport up to 235 MeV proton through this gantry and very precisely into the patient body. The proton therapy is really the uniqueness of Penn's facility in that it provides a wide variety of service to a wide variety of cancer patients, but at the same time, we're really the pioneer of using pencil beam scanning, the pioneer of using collimators or MLCs on double scatter treatment. And like Stephen just mentioned, a lot of the proton therapy centers around the world actually have our graduates, both either students or residents or staff and faculty trained at Penn to become their leaders and then their chiefs in terms of proton therapy service. So by coming Penn, you're really, getting the most advanced therapy, not only just any radiation therapy facility can provide you, but also one of the unique sort of the modality of using proton therapy to treat cancer. So this is definitely the highlight of the Penn's radiation therapy program. And then moving on to the second highlight of our program is that we have access to 2 of the latest Halcyon treatment machines. Halcyon is a new type of photon treatment machine that introduced in 2016 and went into treatment in 2017. It is actually a very successful collaboration between Penn and the vendor of this machine, which is Varian Medical System. So before anybody else in the world finds out about this machine, Penn actually had been working with the vendor, Varian Medical System, to create this machine sort of to help them understand our clinical needs and to help them refine the machine so that it can be designed to better service cancer patients, and it can be designed to have a better workflow, simplified workflow, and improved performance, things like that. So it's really an example of industry academic collaboration. And once it's released, it becomes the most popular treatment machines in the radiation oncology community. Now we have probably over 100 units installed or just in the United States. And this machine is really quiet and fast, and so that it provides a maximize patient comfort and really minimize sort of the time spent on not administered patients, and then it minimize sort of the chance of patient having a collision with the treatment units, and also minimize the sort of the errors made by the staff due to lack of training. So, and as a result of we having early access to this machine, we have developed a lot of research programs, and we have published extensively on this machine. And I think in the last year, we had over 10, 12 manuscripts published based on this machine. So if you come here, you could be helping in one of these cutting edge research that is a part of the new technology evaluation or vendor academic collaboration. So that's another unique thing about Penn being really at the forefront of pushing new technology into our community. And you can be the expert in going around and talk to people about this machine. So this is going to the third treatment room. This is one of our standard linear accelerators that in our treatment room. But what I want to point out is that in this room, we actually performs a lot of these special procedures that a lot of other places don't perform. For example, in the we have you can see that on the background of this treatment unit, you can see the sort of device for total body, both photon and the electron irradiation, and also at the back of Dr. Metz, you can see the anesthesia machine where we can use to sort of deliver the treatment to very small kids under general anesthesia. So we do have a very active collaboration, both research and clinical, with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So just to sum things up, I know there's a lot of information I showed to you today, but I want you to sort of to revisit a couple of highlights that I talk about. So the first one is that we are geographically located in a very convenient location, very close to airport, very close to big cities. The cost of living here is actually very moderate compared to other large cities. And in the same time, we do have a large footprint. We have a very active, very busy clinic. In fact, on every Tuesday, there's 600 parallel appointments at 8 a.m. in this building. So we do have a very, very active clinic. At the same time, we have access to the full research building right next to our clinic, and then where we have an entire floor of researchers doing cutting edge research. We do have a new hospital coming up, and then we have sort of the state-of-the-art technology, both photon and proton. We have a very good example, past example of doing academic collaboration with vendors, with industry to sort of really develop the best treatment technology and best disease management technology for our patients. So again, if you come here, you can be a part of this and you can really enjoy the collaborative and innovative environment that we at Penn provides you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrea.
Thank you so much, Taran. And now we're going to hear from a couple of alumni of our program, PJ Dupre and Peyton Ehrman, to talk about their experience when they were in the program.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. So my name's Peyton. I'm currently a second-year physics resident at the University of Pennsylvania. And I graduated in the spring of 2018 from the master's program. So my experience there, it was all around, it had strong academics, great opportunity for research. And then out of all of the programs that I had experience with, either through interviewing before I came to Penn or talking to other students, we by far have the strongest sort of opportunity to be in the clinic and get that experience. And moving on from the master's program into residency, that clinical experience that we got during that program really set us apart from other students going into these residency interviews, and really made us a strong applicant. So PJ, if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Sure. So I'm PJ. I am currently in my apartment in New York City. I am a second-year medical physics resident at Montefiore Medical Center, which is in the Bronx. We just got a Halcyon, so that was a big, exciting thing that Taran was saying, that you guys will, if you go to Penn, get to work with a Halcyon. I just started, so it's a good time. I graduated as well in 2018 from the master's program at Penn. While I was there, I partook in all of the great research and clinical opportunities. I had 2 fantastic clinical practicum experiences. I went to Cooper, which Dr. Avery was saying has a lot of really cool technologies and a lot of really cool people over there, just to make more connections. I also went to Einstein, which is in North Philadelphia, and I'm still really close with the physicists I worked with over there. I did some exciting radiation biology research in the Smilo building, which was shown on the tour. So I got to work with data from an active clinical trial that we have going on at Penn with mesothelioma. And that paper just got submitted to be published. So my thesis is being submitted to a journal. So that was really exciting. That just happened in the past week. So I had a lot of really great experiences at Penn. I can't talk it up enough. The clinical experience is really unparalleled, and you get to make money for it and then put it on your resume and go out to all these residency interviews, and you can tell people, exactly what all the tests that they're asking you about are and how you perform them every day for day in and day out for a year. So if you have any questions or if you want us to talk a little bit more about that, please let us know.
The University of Pennsylvania is located in Philly, which is a great city to go to school in. It's one of the larger cities population-wise, but it's really condensed. You have everything in that one area right downtown, which is right across the river from the university. So it's a great place to spend 2 years and sort of get involved in different things. There's great museums. There's the art museum here, which Philly is really famous for. There's also the Leonard Museum that is sort of the museum of human oddities. It's kind of really cool, especially getting into the medical field. But it's a great city to live in. It's a very affordable city to live in. It's a great program. It's a great location.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Are there any questions from our attendees regarding anything about the student experience or any of the information you've heard tonight?
I do see a question.
Great.
How does certificate part-time work? So basically, I think our certificate students who go part-time, those are the ones who work. And so they can't take a full class load. But I mean, the way it would work is that since it's usually just over 2 semesters, we would just extend the program to, I guess, to fit your timeline. Because we offer certain classes, certain times of the year. And so if that was an issue for you, like when we would talk to you about, I guess, what are your concerns, then that way we can come up with a good program for you that meets your timeline and meets, your concern. Like, for example, if you are working and you can only take 1 class, and what is the best path for you? And so we've done that for students where we make up a course, I guess, over the time frame they're looking at, and we kind of come to agreement that this is what works for you and also for the program too.
There's a question, can I take classes in the evening, for instance? All of our courses are really taught during the day. We don't offer online courses, and our faculty prefer to teach during the day. Most of our courses are offered somewhere between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. So unfortunately, we do not offer evening classes now.
And one reason why we don't also, because some of our students actually participate in QA, which happens in the evening. And so they may take classes during the day, but in the evening they're working in the clinic. And so that's another reason. And then there's certain classes that we just can't, like, for example, our anatomy course is taught by one of our physicians. And so he has a couple hours of lecture, and then there's a lab component to it. So the students will actually go into the planning system and start to contour CT images. And so that's something that we can't just offer at different times. It has to be a certain set time in order to offer that kind of classes where you get the full experience. There, I thought I saw someone's hand up, but maybe that was it. Okay.
Okay, there's a question. What do you look for in an ideal candidate?
So we look for someone who's strong in math and physics. I think that students think that it's medical physics, so they think, well, do I need to take anatomy, or do I have to take some type of medical course? No, that's what we'll teach you. But we want you to come in with a strong background in math and physics. And also we want someone who has some dedication to the field also, because we don't want a student who is going to go through this process and in the end they find out this is not what I really want. And so we definitely try to help the student figure out, is this the right path for you? Because after you're done, you have to do a residency, and then you have to do the board exams. And also these positions are few. It's just like similar to medical school, which you may be familiar with, that there's only so many slots. And so we want to make sure that the path that you chose, if it's not a clinical path, maybe a research path is something that's better suited for you. But to answer your question as far as the ideal candidate, basics, your physics and math, we want that to be strong. And once you have that, we'll teach you the medical part.
I also want to point out that we really tried to predict the kinds of questions that prospective applicants might have, and we put together a pretty thoughtful and comprehensive list of frequently asked questions that are on our website. You'll see the FAQ down at the bottom of the navigation. And so there are examples of questions we answered, like what academic background do I need, and what can I do to strengthen my application? So I encourage you to look through the FAQs. I think there'll be some really helpful advice for you as you think more about our program and as you might prepare an application.
Well, maybe Teron, you want to take the next one? Is about residency.
Okay, the next question I think is, does Penn Residency Medical Physics Program accept directly students that graduate from Penn MS of Medical Physics Program? So the answer to that is, we all go through the metaphysics match program for clinical residency. So we cannot protect any slot specifically for our metaphysics master students. However, in the past several years, we have been having Penn graduated students in our starting in our residency team. So Peyton was one of them, and then we sort of continue to have internal students trained within our program to be a part of our metaphysics residency team. So the answer is yes. Yes, we, historically data shows that we do accept that, but when it comes to admission and then selection, everybody goes through the match, and then we have no control over that. And it also partially, that's also, protecting the interest from the students as well, because you want to really be exposed to multiple programs and select the one that actually suits you the best. So we want everyone to have that opportunity as well.
Great. We're nearing the end of our time. Are there any final questions from our attendees? Anything we haven't spoken about? If not, we encourage you to contact us at our email, mpp-info@uphs.upenn.edu, or please feel free to give us a call. We're happy to chat one-on-one and answer your more individualized questions. If there are no further questions, I think that will end our information session tonight. I want to thank you very much for joining us. I encourage you to apply to our program if you feel like this is a good fit for you. We will be having another information session if you would like to log on again and hear more information. Any final thoughts from our panelists?
I was going to just put up the contact information just so people can have it, so they can see it on their screen, the phone number and the email address. So I'm sharing my screen now, so hopefully everyone can see it.
Great. And we're also happy to put you in touch with any alumni of our program so we can connect you and you can chat more with someone who's gone through the program. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.